Welcome to Seasons of You, a podcast about seasons of change and our ever-evolving cyclical nature as women. I'm your host, Sarah, and I'll be sharing my experience of harnessing the power of the cycles as a guide for my life. And I'll be speaking to incredible guests where we'll explore struggles, growth, and expansion, and what inspires us to create and live a life that we truly desire. Get cozy and honour this moment for yourself as we dive in to the seasons of you. I acknowledge the traditional custodians of the lands on which I live and travel. I give thanks to the Indigenous Australians who have an enduring and deep relationship to the land, skies, and waters of this country. I recognise that sovereignty was never ceded, and I pay my respects to elders past, present, and emerging. I also give thanks to my maternal lineage, to all the women who came before me, and to all those who came before you. I recorded this episode on the lands of the Wurundjeri people, and it is our first guest episode through her eyes with the wonderful Kelly from Simply Aligned. She is a human design business coach and an absolute wealth of knowledge. We talk all about rest through the lens of human design and how we may need to rethink rest and what it looks like for us. It's a conversation all about how each of our needs are different, but that our needs are all valid, and it is really important that we honour our individual needs. I am so glad and so grateful that you are here listening to this. Please enjoy. Hi, Kell. I am so glad that you're here. Thank you for joining me on Seasons of You.
So fun. I'm so honored to be here. This is going to be cool.
Yay, I'm so excited. So before we jump into the episode, I'd love to know what led you to the path of finding human design and deciding to not just find out about your type or your design, but then fully diving deep and then integrating it into your life.
I feel like for most people, we find human design and we start off pretty surface level. So we're like, yay, I'm a projector, and yay, you feel a little bit validated. But then and definitely for me, there was this resistance of like, okay, that sounds really cool, but it doesn't actually work in real life. So I
Mm.
just parked it, to be honest. At that stage, I had been a teacher, had moved into nursing, had a newborn. I was literally trying to navigate an apprenticeship in nursing as I was breastfeeding and pumping in the break room. And it was a lot.
Wow. Yeah.
And then I think that's when I started just opening up to like, surely this isn't it. It definitely wasn't working. I was getting sick all the time and I didn't get sick. And I just had all the things of burnout. And and it was just dismissed left, right, and center when I said that to people as
Mm.
well. You've got 3 kids, you've got a newborn, you've just started out, in nursing. And I was like, nah, it's not that. And I think I just opened myself up to like, okay, if it is something else, what are some tools out there? And honestly, I just stumbled across human design again. And I was like, all right, let's give this a crack. Like, let's just see if it works. And I just started implementing little parts, and they started working and shifting. And I started feeling better and things. I started to remember who the hell I was. Right. And so
Mm.
it started the whole kind of unraveling of like what I thought I kind of had to show up as a woman and as a mother, and then actually honoring who the hell I was, and started that huge journey, which I know you know a lot about.
Yep. Wow. Yeah, it is a massive journey. And I think, yeah, just that remembering who the heck we are. And it's
Mm.
like giving that language to it as well. That, like, oh my God, that validation, if that makes so much sense, that's what hit it for me as well with human design.
Yeah, and I think, and we've had conversations obviously before, but when our parents do it a certain way, or when our friends are showing up a certain way, other mothers online are showing up a certain way, I think we get this idea of like, that's the goal, that's the rule book, I guess. And then when it doesn't work for us, I think our bodies get to a point, right, where it's like, nah, we're not doing that anymore. Like at some stage, you have to honor who you are. And I think that was the biggest thing about learning my human design is that there was actually nothing wrong with me, that I wasn't going crazy. I wasn't any of the stories, right? I wasn't lazy. I wasn't not good enough or whatever. It was that I was just literally designed to show up for work, for motherhood, for life in a really different way.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then yeah, so but we literally sold our house, and I quit my job, and we went around in our caravan and went around Australia for like a couple of years, and it was honestly like just the best decision we made, but scary, and
Yeah.
everyone thought we were crazy, and at times I probably did too, but I think I always had this kind of inner voice being like, it's all good, like
Yeah.
we've got it. We know that this isn't it and this isn't working. So like, why don't we just try something else? And I think that's kind of been, um, yeah, what's kind of led to me teaching in human design and being a human design coach and doing that online. And we traveled, like I said, full time, and my husband quit his job, and that's a whole nother conversation about the masculine, right? But I
Yeah.
think that was a whole thing for him, and just being with our kids. And I think that was our kind of thing that we were craving, is just connection and just simplifying things. And then everything else kind of just snowballed from there.
So beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. And for those who don't know anything about human design, if they're coming listening to this episode and know nothing about it, could you just give a little rundown of the five types, which is what we'll be mostly talking about today, and direct people where they can find out their human design so that if they don't know it, they can kind of pause the episode, go and find it out, and then they'll want to know that for the
Yeah.
conversation that we're about to have.
That's important. So human design, if we know nothing, human design is, for me, it's like it's what makes me different from anybody else, right? And it's like human design, depending on our birth date, place, and time, gives us this energetic blueprint that really is like a manual for us and how we are designed to thrive and live and show up in the world, and our purpose, right? So
Mhm.
it is really, really detailed, and which is beautiful, I think, because we all know that we're not just one thing, right? And I think that's why human design is so magical. It incorporates so many things. So it's got astrology in there. So yes, I'm an Aquarius, but I'm also 5 million other things. And I think that's why I love human design. It's a little bit, has a bit more depth.
Mhm.
And also it's a little bit more practical, I think, of just like, okay, what does it mean to be an Aquarius? It's like, okay, I'm an Aquarius, but human design also includes like your chakras. And so what does it mean to be an Aquarius? And what does that mean for your heart center, if that's open or closed? That's going to be really, really different, right?
Yeah.
So there is lots of depth, but I think the most simplest, beautiful way to start, and that's what we're going to chat about, is the types. So there's 5
Mhm.
different types in human design. I've spoke about a projector. That's what Sarah and I are. And so if you're also a projector, these are your friends that are like, they are super wise. They're kind of the ones that you come to when you need advice. They're super grounded and really calming. They've got that kind of energy, but they just don't go. And when I was talking about, and obviously you've had your experience, Sarah, but like of a lot of projectors get to this burnout phase of trying to keep up with how other people do things, and it's just not how we're kind of programmed. They say we've kind of got 4 hours a day, and then the rest we should be resting, which I love.
Mhm.
But that is hard, right? It's hard to
So
navigate
hard.
in the world and having kids and all of the things. But it honestly does. It shifts the game when we do it. And then the other type, so the two most popular are a manifesting generator and a generator. So this is like roughly 70% of the population. So these types have this sacral energy where they can kind of keep going and they can recharge if they're doing things that they love. Um, these are your friends that are like super fun. So these are the ones that you go to for a good giggle, or also that they're just really entertaining, right? If you know
Yeah.
one of these people, it's just like these are the ones that are the life of the party, the main character type energy. Um, and also if they're a money gen, they're really expansive. So like anything's possible, and they're like, yeah, cool, let's do that. You know, they're kind of always up for up for whatever you're kind of putting down. So that's the main kind of cohort if you're one of them. And then the other two are a little bit more. So a manifestor is only 10% of the population. These guys are like the natural born leaders, right? They're kind of the lone wolf. They like doing things how they want to do things. They like that people follow them, but they don't. There's this real separation with them. These are like the manifestors historically, like these are in history, right? These are the
Mm.
like the Cleopatra type vibe of like follow me, but I don't really care, but like you can't look away. That's kind of a manifester. Um, really, really powerful and extremely misunderstood in human design, I would say, and definitely in business and relationships, mainly well, they're the same thing, right? But mainly relationships. I think female manifestors really have a really tricky time navigating their love life
Mm.
and how to be a manifester, right? In this world that's told us that this is how you be a man, this is how you be a woman. It doesn't quite work. Um, Join the club, manifestors, right? There's a little nuance in all of the types. And then the last one is reflectors, so less than 1%. These are beautifully sensitive, open souls. They really follow the moon. So like I know all of us do as women, but this is like who reflectors are. And they change every single day. There's someone different because they're following that cycle to the next degree.
Yeah.
So it's really, really beautiful. But yeah, definitely find out what one you are. And then honestly, just Google it. Obviously, jump on my page at simply.aligned on Instagram. There's a heap of stuff on there you can look at. But if you just start, sorry, by searching like what is a projector? What does that mean? Right? We have Chat GPT now. There's no reason you can't use it. What does that mean for me to be a reflector in business? What does it mean for me to be a manifestor mum? And just start kind of exploring. That's where I would start with all of this.
Beautiful. Thank you for explaining all those beautiful types. And I just love that there's so much diversity
Mm,
and that like we need all of these types, right?
mm,
Like yes, there are the vast majority of the world are those two generator mani gens, but like we need all of us to
yeah.
for the collective to live in a cohesive way. And I think the more that women can know their human design and dive into these layers, I just think it's so powerful.
It's huge. And I think when we can really like not see one better than the other, you know,
Mm,
that it's like all of us, if we think of that tribe kind of mentality, all of us have a job in the tribe. And I think some jobs in life and in the tribe are celebrated a bit more, right? They're a
mm,
bit more out there, they're a bit more doing or whatever. But if we can really honor the fact that each one of us has been given this really unique set of gifts in this like toolkit basically to contribute to the tribe to really live out our purpose, then I think then we can come together and be like, okay, cool. I'm good here and I'm going to show up, and then I'm going to pull back and I'm going to let you do that. You know, there would be, if we understood this as a whole, I believe, less competition and more like really honoring, okay, this is what this task needs. This is what's needed in this season. I need you to step up and use those skills. And I'm going to step back and support you in that role. Like there's
yeah,
not one type that needs to lead all of the time. And this is life, business, parenting, right? Like it shows up absolutely everywhere. But I think when we have this language that we can go, okay, I'm projectoring, I need to rest, you know, go
yeah,
take the kids away from me. And same with my husband, like, oh, I'm Manny Jenny and I'm feeling a little bit all over the place. Give me some guidance here. It just gives this really beautiful language in like all of our relationships, where it's like less competition and more about just honoring each of our gifts, which I think would be a really beautiful place to get to.
yeah. Beautiful. And what I love about human design is that you truly can tailor like anything in your life to your design. And so, like, what we're going to talk about today is rest. And I guess it's like busting some myths around rest because we think rest, napping, and like I can speak a lot to what I need as a projector, which is a lot of rest. It's not always just napping
So,
though, but that's going to
yeah.
look very different to someone who is a generator and what they need to nourish them. So, if you're ready, could we jump into speaking to rest and how this differs for all of the human design types?
Yeah. So when we talk about rest and recharging, same thing. I like to split the human design types in half.
Hmm.
And so half are sacral. So, like I said, the mani-gens and generators. So they have that defined sacral center. Their definition of resting or recharging is through play. So, like, obviously, there's going to be nuances in this. So, don't listen and just be like, okay, I've got to play all day, right? But I think if you are a generator or a manifesting generator, it is so important to play. Like, it is as important as rest is for the three other types. And so, I think this is where the nuances show up, right? So for a
Mm.
generator manager, if they are sitting there on their computer doing work and they're just feeling overwhelmed or frazzled or anxious, even if they are, parenting, right, in the morning, and it's just a lot. We've all been there.
Hmm.
How they would kind of soothe or change the energy of the room, calm their nervous system, however you want to look at it, is through play. So we can say to a generator or money gen, and this might work for some of you in some circumstances, take a few deep breaths, right? You might want to meditate for a little bit. You might want to whatever and calm yourself down. That's not actually what's happening there. The fact for a generator and money gen, if they are feeling out of their body, right, in any way, overstimulated, in any form, however that shows up for you, anxiety, overwhelm, yelling, anger, right, resentment, whatever, how they want to flip that is by putting themselves into play. So if you have kids here, use them in the most beautiful way, right? So kids are like experts in play, right? That's all they want to do. I know you've got a generator son.
Hmm.
I think they are just like, they're the experts. And so anytime that you are in this state of overwhelm, anxiety, like, oh my God, just get out the door, right? Any of that, yes, you can keep pushing through and keep yelling and keep whatever, or you could flick it into play. And so rather than continuing to exhaust your energy stores and your nervous system by continuing to rush around and trying to do 50 things, you could take 5 seconds to turn getting out the door into a game. And these, to watch a generator or manifesting generator in this is so beautiful because it's like, I just got shivers, right?
Hmm.
They are the funnest mums going around, right? That is their essence. And so they can get into these imaginary games of like, oh my God, there's lava, like we need to get to this place, or quick, chuck down a few pillows and we have to jump there to get to the door, right? All of a sudden, those kids are in that lava pit, right? Like all of a sudden, all
Yeah.
their shoes are on because they need that. They're there. Because what happens for a generator mani gen is your energy sucks people in. You can't not, right? And this is yes for all mums. If we tried to do this as projectors, it would work too, right? It would be a bit
Yeah.
harder and we wouldn't love it as much, but we could definitely do it and kids would be sucked in because that's a mum thing. But there is
Hmm.
something really extra for a generator or mani gen when they do it. It's like it wouldn't just suck in the kids. Parents would be like, oh my God, I want to jump on that too, right? It's this really
Mm.
magnetic field that like pulls people in. And what it also does for the mum, yes, the kids are out the door, but what it does for that mum or that woman is it's actually going to recharge her system. So when she walks out the door, she's a different woman to what she was before. And so this is what I mean by a rest or recharge, right? Is when
Yeah.
they tap into play, well, now their battery's full. Now they're good to go for the next, 2, 3 hours without any play or whatever, doing, the drop off and this and whatever. Now they've got more energy. this is very, very different situation than the other three. So the
Mm.
other three is your reflector, manifestor, and projector. So for these guys, they do need more like standard types of rest. So yes, like I said, Sarah and I are projectors. So that situation would be fun for us, right? But it would also take a bit of energy, right? It's not actually going to recharge us like it would for those sacral centers. And so, if you are one of these three other types, I want you to really think about how you can integrate rest as much as possible and as often as possible in your day. Because how our systems work with the open sacral, so undefined, um, is we are actually taking on people's energy the whole day, right? So if you're a generator, manifesting generator, it's a bit more about you. It's a bit more of a like, through lack of a better word, like a selfish energy. You're a bit self-absorbed and like you're meant to be. Whereas for the other three, we are taking on everybody's energy in every single room that you go into throughout the day. That's exhausting, right? And so that exhausts our bodies. And so when I talk about rest and recharging for these open, these other three centers, these other three types, sorry, it is literal rest. It is like detaching ourselves from other people's energy. So again, we're talking about literal lay down. You want to have a nap, have a goddamn nap if you can, right? For all of us mums out there, it might not be safe if you've got a toddler running around. So pick your safe rest, but it might be reading a book. It might be literally just stepping outside while your favorite people are inside and shutting the door and just having a few deep breaths outside. It might be getting sun on your face. It might be grounding in some grass. Whatever it is, it literally, and I've done this multiple times, going to the toilet and shutting the door. Like, heaven forbid,
Mm.
that's one of my favorite things as a mum, right? Of just being like, oh, I'm in here. I've got probably a minute before they find me. And I would take some deep breaths. I would do all of my like soothing things. I would rest, right? And you can do that. And however, it obviously depends on your season, but that is so needed for your system in order for you to come out of the toilet or come back inside to your people and to show up as that best self. Because the second that you come back into the world, into the environment of other people, you again start absorbing people's energy. So,
Mm.
like, neither of them are bad, but to really understand how your energy works and how you absorb other people's energy, I just think is a total game changer of how we can self regulate, right? And then actually feel good throughout the day in a realistic kind of way.
Yeah, so important to know all of this. And it's like all the advice out there, right? It's like blanket advice. This is for
Mm.
everyone. Everyone needs to rest. But knowing these nuances, these differences, it's just so life changing. And I have a lot of generators in my life. Almost everyone, like physically in my life around me, are all generators.
Yeah.
And if I witness them, if they're like obviously they need to physically rest too, like they might have a chill
Mhm.
afternoon or whatever. But if they're sitting down and not doing anything for a while, they will get up and they'll feel lethargic. And I can see it in them. Like they've got this restless energy, but they're lethargic. Whereas if they're out doing things that they love, they will just go and go and go and go. Whereas I'm
Yeah.
like the opposite. If I'm out trying to keep up with them doing all the things, I am freaking exhausted all the time. And so just knowing that simple difference between those energy centers of the sacral energy center, we can recharge in the ways that work for us so that we can kind of live this more balanced life when we're together, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and honor each other's engines. Like we
Mm.
we have this conversation in our family, so it's like exactly the same. So my son and I have the open sacral, and so this is those three types I spoke about: the projector, manifestor, reflector. For these guys, if you think about this engine, you have a set amount of energy through the day. So you wake up and this is it. This is all you get, right?
Hmm.
It is enough. Don't think that's restrictive at all. It is enough to get through the day. But you want to be really efficient and deliberate how you're using your energy because that's all you get. And so if you are out of alignment and you like exactly like you said, you're trying to keep up with all these generators, right? It's not going to work. And so you are going to get to that lunchtime and be like, is this done? right? Like this day is
Mm.
too long for my body.
Yeah.
Because you are not honoring that coming in and out of people's energies. You're not detaching at all. You're just trying to be on, and it just does not work. And yes, we all, and sure, try it out, test it out, right? We've all been there. But the second that it doesn't work, it is really, really valuable to be open to the fact that maybe my engine works differently. Maybe I did need
Yeah.
to detach from the kids while they were having breakfast, not because I don't love them, but because my engine works different. And then if we go
Mm.
back to the generator, Manny Gens, right, that define sacral, their engine is designed to recharge. And so they recharge through play, like I said, but it recharges, right? So they get the same set of energy when they wake up. And then when they do
Mm.
something really fun, so you take your son to the playground, well, you know what? Any energy that was like bored out of him by, like, heaven forbid, putting shoes on or getting in the car or doing these tasks, brushing teeth that we have to do, as soon as he gets to the playground, well, now he's having fun. So now he has completely recharged his battery. So he's at 100%, but you're probably
Yeah.
at like 40%, right? And then
Mm.
he's getting back in the car, and those batteries are totally different. So what he is needing, yes, it might be rest. But even rest looks different for them, right? Like I can guarantee that he would be fidgeting, or he would be moving around the
Yeah.
couch, or he would be flicking the TV. There, it's a different type of rest or stimulation that they need. Um, yeah, but really understanding the different types of those engines and how they recharge, I think that makes us a bit more deliberate about how we kind of navigate our day. Um, yeah, as women, it's really, really important.
Yeah. It's just having that awareness and then
Mhm.
bringing those like intentional micro moments to it. And I think just for those beginning, it's curiosity. It's going, okay, this doesn't feel right. I'm feeling this way. What if I got curious and put the human design lens on it and changed it and made it come into more of alignment? What would that feel like? And it's kind of experimenting. Like that's what it's been for me. I think I've known my human design for a few years now. And everything that you have taught me, it's like just have a play with it. Just experiment and see
Mm.
how it feels.
Yeah, and it's I believe in that really, really strongly. But the guy that channeled human design, he said, like, don't take it what I'm saying as Bible. Like, test it out. See.
Mm.
Because I think as much as human design is an incredible tool, there's definitely people that will have a different like take and lens on it, right? Of how they share human design. So I always say, like, there's whatever I say, test it out. Does it work for you? Does it not? Cool. Let's try something else out. And I think that is a really empowering way, right? And it's definitely, I don't think it's standard in how we're kind of taught things, right? It's kind of like, this is it. If it doesn't work, something's wrong with you. But I think with human design, it's like, this is the fundamentals, and then kind of take what you need in each season, in each, um, depending on how open and how much you need it at that time. Right? And what's available for you as well. Like I said, if you're a mum with a newborn, your rest is limited. It is very
Mm.
different to what my rest looks like now. And the fact that I have three kids is very different to you having one kid, right? Like
Yeah.
what is available is very, very different. And so I think we have to be flexible in
Yeah.
applying human design. I think that's where people probably get a little bit turned off, is by when it's like a projector has 4 hours, you must not work any more than that. And it's like, fuck
Hmm.
off. Like there's been multiple times in my business anyway, where I have like smashed out a 10-hour day and actually felt really, really good
Yeah.
because it was something I loved and because I overnourished in the background as well. So it's not like, I don't think there's these hard and fast rules of human design, but it's definitely a beautiful manual and a guide to really start exploring your energy and how you're actually here to thrive, not just like kind of exist.
Yeah. And that's what it's all about, right? It's like we all move through this life and we can do it on autopilot and we can just get through and we can go, oh, yeah, just going through the motions, ticking the boxes, whatever. But do we really want that for our lives? Or do we want to feel like we're going through it feeling really nourished and feeling like we're thriving and feeling like we, for the majority of the time, are living a life that we desire.
Yeah, and that suits us and honors us,
Mm,
right? And that
yeah,
obviously looks very, very different. And it's also like there's no shame in being in that survival. Like I think all
no,
of us, particularly as women, have felt that at some stage, right? Of
yeah,
just like, you know what, I just need to get through this
100%.
particular season. And that's okay too. But I think what is really helpful, even in those seasons, is just to be open to the fact that it can actually feel better. And there are little tiny things that you can do, even in the thick of it, that would
Mhm.
make you feel better. Not every mum at 6 months, you know, like it's like
Yeah.
what would actually make you as a woman right now feel better. And that would be somewhere in your human design. So I think that's what it makes it accessible. Like I said, you don't have to full on, you know, quit your job and live in a caravan in order for you to be able to apply human design.
Yeah.
It can be just really simple, taking, you know, a minute out of your day to do some breath work or to step outside into the sun. You know, that is quite radical for some people of where they're at. And all of that is fine.
Mm. Yeah, totally agree. And it's similar with what I share with the cycles awareness. Like I'm not asking women to overhaul their lives. It doesn't That's not
Mm.
what it requires. It's just those micro moments of having a little bit more awareness, looking through that lens, and then just choosing one intentional moment that might be able to bring in a small shift. And that's actually, I think, more potent and powerful than we think it is.
I agree, because that's the snowball, right? Like, and I
Yeah.
think though, the thing that I love about human design is that if we are going to just choose one thing that is 5 minutes in our day, it is helpful to know the thing to choose, right? Like it's like having a bit
Yeah.
of guidance in like if you're a projector and I said to you, okay, I want you to, you know, sit down and play unintentionally, you know, for whatever. That might feel good, but it's definitely not going to give you more energy and recharge you. Yeah, like it's a bit of joy and there's no harm in having a dance party or
Mm,
doing whatever. But if we're really focusing on how do we actually honor our bodies and our energy systems, it is really, really good to know who you are and then what to tap into first,
yeah.
particularly when we are in that overwhelm and depletion and stuff. So I think that is it is definitely really, really helpful to just know the basics, right?
Yeah. Definitely. And I think that's where I started too. I certainly wasn't deep diving to start with my human design, but, and I feel
Mm.
like your first advice to me was literally just this lens of rest and like being a
Mm.
projector, knowing that I need more rest. Like, how can I bring a little bit more rest into my day? And then a little more, and then a little more. And so it was just focusing on that one piece of my human design because obviously there's so many layers to it. There's so many like depths that you can go into, which I have absolutely loved doing all of that. But for the woman who is just beginning, you don't have to go to that just yet. But I definitely do recommend getting some guidance, like going to Kell and getting a reading or whatever it looks like for you with where you're at. Because, like, honestly, I can say this hand on heart, human design and finding out about my human design changed my life.
Yeah. And that is the goal, right? I think human design is all about transformation. But what I will add to what you just said, which is really funny, every woman that I've worked with, the most profound shifts have been in the first couple of weeks. And I think this
Mm,
is because it's the foundation. And I think this is where, and it would be same with cycles, same with everything, right? Is we all think we need to turn into this magical person, right? To to get the benefit or to change anything in our life. But it's like with human design, if you just got the foundational elements of like we're talking about today, your types and how you recharge and rest, um, that actually is enough to completely transform your life. I don't know your experience there, but I completely agree. The rest element of being a projector was life changing. for
Yeah.
me. There was no shame anymore. I went in hard with the rest. I was like, well, if they said so, I'm here, right? And so it completely changed my energy. It changed how I showed up for my kids, for my husband, in my business. It was like completely transformational overnight, right? Because it's
Yeah.
like it can really be that extreme.
Yeah.
And then I think we get excited, right, by the depths and tell me everything. And now I want to be a human design coach. And it's like, that's really cool. Like, go for it if you want to. Um, but I think I keep being reminded daily when I work with clients, it's actually coming back to the three basics of human design being your type, authority, and strategy. If you
Yeah.
can really nail those things, not that the rest of it doesn't matter, but it's like don't build on it until you've got that foundation. And that foundation is completely life changing. Like I can hand on heart say that for myself, but also, yeah, for every single woman I've worked with. That's what it comes back to. And you don't have to dedicate 10 hours a day to it, like it can honestly be 5-10 minutes that could completely change your energy the whole day. It is really that powerful.
Yeah. I fully agree, having experienced it. And whenever I feel like I'm realize I'm out of alignment with it or I'm exhausted, I come back to those foundations. Those, like you said, those three things, like that is what I come back to. And it literally can change it in that instant.
Yeah, because we're powerful, and I
Mm,
think this is the thing that I think there is this culture, I guess, of like outsourcing our power and outsourcing
mm,
our wisdom and like um just outsourcing in general, right? And yeah, I think what human design does is it brings you back to you. It's like, okay, this is exactly what you need, your particular design, your particular chart, um, and just reminds us like how epic we are.
mm.
Like I think yeah, as soon as we start looking around at other people and going like, oh, they're doing that, maybe like I should do that, or like I'm feeling like this and that person's not, maybe I should do what they're doing. Anytime we do that, I just think now that I hear it and when people say that, I'm like, well, you've lost the game,
Yeah.
right? Like it's not actually about copying people around or whatever. And it would be the same with cycles, right? Like it's like I could look at you online and be like, oh my God, Sarah's killing it. And she's showing up every day and it's so potent and so incredible. And yet I want to curl up in a ball. Great. We're in different parts of our cycle,
Yeah.
right? We might still be projectors, but we're showing up, we're having different experiences. So I feel like the more that we can come back to ourselves, the more it's like that human design, it's just this reminder of like, oh my God, like I'm epic. And like if I really lean into these gifts and honor this energy, like it's like, oh, I can be more epic. Like, what does that feel like? It just reminds us like how powerful we are. It's not some new thing that you need to learn. It's more like a new language, I guess, of understanding you.
Yeah. I love that. And just like you said, it's coming back to yourself, finding home within
Mm.
yourself, and that like we have all of this within us. It's just putting the language to it.
Yeah, and claiming it and honoring
Mm.
it and seeing it in other people, like I feel like, yeah, it's really it's so important.
I love it. Do you have anything else to add into this conversation?
I think I think starting off slow is important. I know that when you're in the thick of it, that we're all, I know I felt this, that I was like grasping at like, oh, what can like drag my ass out of this feeling of just overwhelm or just completely out of alignment. Um, I think start slow. Like we were saying today, start with the types. That is honestly enough to really make some shifts and to really start feeling things. And then continue to explore it. I think we've obviously worked together before with like a human design reading is like then we start talking about more depths in your chart and the other ones that we just spoke about. But honestly,
Mm.
I think that's the most important. When you're in the thick of it, start really simple and then you can build on that if it works for you, right? Like be really open to like, I don't even know if this is like legit. They could be talking bullshit, right? And that's okay
Yeah.
to come in with that energy as well. Um, there's not many people that walk away that go like, nah, didn't quite nail it. But feel free to be one of them. Because I think that's healthy as well, particularly if you're line three, that is what you will be thinking, right? Um, because there is this
Mm.
skepticism that it's like, oh, here's another goddamn thing, like I need to learn, or here's some other thing
Yeah.
that's going to save me. So, yeah, start slow. And honestly, I think it's available to all of us that we can really tap into it. And it is all about coming back to yourself and really, really understanding yourself. I think for me, it was when I started this whole, okay, maybe I don't want to be a nurse. Maybe I don't want to have a house and be home with the kids all of the time. Maybe that's not actually my truth. And I lost that
Mm.
somewhere. But I think when you realize that you're living this life that maybe doesn't reflect you 100%, that's really scary, right? You'd be
Mm.
like, okay, well, if this isn't it, like, what the hell is? Um, I think that is really helpful. And that's what I found the most helpful with human design is working out what is conditioning and what is actually me. And I think when
Mm.
you're in the thick of that thought fog, sorry, they feel the same. I had no idea, right? Like, do I need to
Mm.
rest or am I just exhausted from living this life I don't like? I don't know. Do I need to like, I'm a line one as well, and we love like learning, right? And investigating. And I would do this all the time and I was constantly shamed for it. And like, oh, tune into your body, tune into your intuition. And I was like, oh, but I will do that definitely. But it's like, but I do like this bit too. And I think that was shamed out of me. Like, don't learn and deep dive too hard, like don't be in your
Yeah.
head. And it's like, I kind of like it, like, and so there was this real push pull of like, what is conditioning and what is me? And so I think if you're at that place as well, that's a really beautiful place to be like, okay, is it in my chart? Because if it is, that is me and that is my truth, even if I can't totally see it. And if it's not, then I want to start challenging it. Is that my mum's belief? Is that a girlfriend's belief? Is that something my husband said that's really stuck to me? Um, and so I think that is what, when we say like, just play with it, just test it out, I think that's what it looks like, right? Is to be like, okay, what does it look like on my Monday when I get up as a manifester? What does she do? How do they move? Um, and test it out like that. Um, yeah, because it's a really, really powerful tool that honestly I wish all women knew from birth because it could definitely change the game and change the world, really. Like if we all knew ourselves and stood in that really strongly, um, I think it is definitely that powerful.
Yeah, I 100% agree. And I love that you spoke a little bit about conditioning there because, like, we live in this world where we haven't had these tools from birth and we're kind of like moving into, for a lot of us, it's in our 30s or when we have our own kids and we go, oh, hang on, what's mine, what's not? And so I love that you said that, like, look at it with your chart and go, okay, what's in my chart? And then figuring out what's conditioning and what's not. And I think it's a really beautiful tool to be able to help connect yourself in with your intuition. And that's what it's been for me because for so long I was like, I don't even know what my intuition is. I don't even know how to connect to that. I don't know when it's talking to me. But once
Mm.
I had the understanding of my human design, I was like, oh, that's what it feels like because mine's super subtle. And, just being able to know that, I could then go, okay, like, is this intuition? Is this something that has been like an expectation that's been placed on me? And it took time and it's still taking time, like, it's an ongoing process. But, yeah, it's just really nice to have those little building blocks that you can come back to this and go, oh, hang on. If I think about it through the lens of my human design, oh, yeah, okay, that makes sense now. And then you can kind of move through it from there.
You know where to lean in, right? I think
Yeah.
that's wild as well. I just want to share this. So you're a splenic authority. So when I was talking about authority, this is how we make decisions. And I think this is what we do is we can't see it in ourselves. But when I look at
Mm,
you and when we started working together, you're like, I don't know, am I intuitive? And I remember giggling, like, and then I was like, oh, I probably shouldn't laugh. But like, you are so intuitive, right? But this is the conditioning. Somewhere along the
mm,
way, somebody might have said something, the whole like, oh, if it's not a fuck yes, it's a no. Your body's
yeah.
going to scream yes, if that's the thing. That's a sacral. That is
Mm,
not a splenic authority. And so I feel like we doubt that. So it's like, okay, my body's not screaming. So maybe it's not a yes. And then I'll
yeah.
just double check, right? And then what we do is we get out of our body because we're like, okay, let me prove it. So if it's like I
Hmm.
had this thought and I really want to do this, but it's like, well, now let's rationalize it. Well, now you're out of your body, right? Now you're just like making shit up in your mind, and then you can't tap into your gifts. And yet for you, Sarah, like intuition is one of your guiding gifts, right?
Mm,
And so I think this is the conditioning and how huge it can play out in our lives of like, I don't even know if this gift exists. And yeah, it's probably the one thing that's going to totally transform your life, right?
yeah.
And so I feel like, yeah, it's so important to really understand yourself, because that thing that you've been shamed for, right? You're too loud, you're too much, you're too quiet, you're too sensitive. Whatever that thing is, I can almost fucking guarantee that it's in your chart and it's one of your major gifts that's going to completely unlock
Mm,
the game. And so I feel like that's the conditioning piece for me. And that's the transformational piece, is that we just can't see it sometimes in ourselves, right?
yeah.
Whatever our not just gift, but total game changer. And it's been trained out of us on purpose to keep us small. And
Hmm.
so now I think women are waking up and going, nah, we've tried that way. That was awful. And so now, how about we actually tap back into our bodies and tap back into these incredible gifts that we're given? What is that going to create? And that's where the game
Mm,
starts, I think, for women, which is so exciting.
mm. How powerful. How
Mm,
powerful. It just
it's
gives me
massive.
goosebumps.
Mm. Well, that is it, right? Like, I think when we can all tap back into that power that we all individually have in a really, really different, unique way, like, imagine the difference. Imagine it in your household, even. Imagine it
Mm,
in your business. Imagine it in your friendship group, in your family, heaven forbid with bigger communities. Like, it is, I believe, what we're all kind of waking up to at the moment is that it's like, okay, this isn't quite it, right? We've given it a go, but it's like, I actually think it can be bigger and it can be a lot more beautiful. And I think women are here to really lead this next bit, which I think is so goddamn exciting. But we want to be ready, right? We want to know who the hell we are. So
yeah.
that when we are leading, we're leading from this really beautiful, true place, that does look really different. So there is a bit of like testing out and learning that is in there, but 100% is here to change the game, which needs to happen for sure.
Yeah. I feel like that's an amazing note to end on. Before we do end, I'd love to ask you one last question. Having been through all that you have, if you could meet the version of you at the beginning of this journey and speak to her as her higher self where you are now, what would you tell her?
To trust, to trust that inner voice that um, starts off really quiet, right? But it's this, we can call it whatever you want to call it. If it's intuition, if it's that inner knowing, that all of us have, right? There's not some magical person that doesn't have intuition. Um, yeah, I would say to her, like, trust it and just keep following that, because I think what I've created now in my life, relationships, family, business, is 5 million times bigger and better than I could have even imagined. Right. I think what I thought was kind of the end goal or whatever I was aiming for was so little, compared to like what we have actually created, right? Like her and
Mm.
I. So I feel like, yeah, really, really slow down enough to actually listen to that inner voice and then keep trusting it and know that she is actually not trying to completely derail your life. She is actually here to guide you to something that you can't even imagine. Yeah.
Oh, how beautiful. I love that. So
Hmm.
let's close by you sharing the work that you do in the world. And please, where can people find you? What are you doing in the world? Where can we come to connect with you?
So on Instagram is kind of my main platform. So simply.aligned. Jump in there, follow along. There's heaps of, I do posts all the time that have little like nuggets of wisdom that you can kind of take and apply. I think something I love in human design is yes, learn it, but we really want to take some action and like create some momentum. So that is my goal on the page. So jump on there and that is where I would start. I offer multiple things at the moment. So human design reading, if you want to go one-on-one and dive deep. We're doing a identity challenge in Feb for 7 days, really like tune you back into who you are, which is really, really powerful. Then I have business by design, which Sarah has done. And so that is about aligning your business with your unique human design. And that one's really powerful as well. So lots of offers, but honestly, if you jump on Instagram and reach out, um, there is no pressure at all. I am happy to answer questions that you have about human design. And then if at any stage one of the offers feels good, jump in. And I think it's as simple as that. But yeah, honestly, like I think for both Sarah and I, we spoke about it, that it's a total game changer and it's not as hard as you think. And if you just implement one or two things, like it genuinely can change your life and the whole game, right? So I think if you're open to it, I would definitely start exploring on your own, and then reach out if you want some support in that online as well. But I love this, Sarah. Like, so fun, right? Being able to chat about everything. And
So good.
yeah, I think it's really, really cool.
Yeah, I love it. So, everyone listening, please scroll down to the show notes. I will put any relevant links in there, links to Kel's Instagram. Go and connect with her and soak up all of her beautiful wisdom. Thank you so much for joining me today. Thank you for your time, for your energy, for your wisdom. I am just so deeply grateful to you.
So happy to be here and so happy you've created this podcast. I just I love this so much for you. Knowing your chart, I just think this is going to be a really beautiful fit.
Mhm.
And the women are going to be lucky, right, to tune in every week and hear all of your incredible wisdom. Yeah, I'm so honored to be here and just so happy for you, what you're doing. I think it's really special.
Thank you. I can attribute some of this to you because it was an idea that came through when I was doing business by design with you. It's literally part of my design to have a podcast.
So, and you're doing it though, right? You took action and here we are. Like, it's very cool.
Thank you. I will put everything in the show notes, all the links, all the stuff. Go and connect with Kel. But we will leave it there for today. I want to invite you into a moment for integration because consumption of knowledge is great, but where it turns into wisdom is when we reflect and bring it into our own lives. So, my invitation here is to reflect for a minute on what's been shared today and then choose one tiny step you can take to bring those lessons into your life. Take a deep breath and devote yourself to that step today. With my deepest gratitude, I am so honoured that you have chosen to listen to this episode today. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Be sure to check the show notes for any relevant links, references, and resources. A final note that this podcast is a space for sharing personal stories, experiences, and inspiration. It's not medical or professional health advice. By listening, you accept full responsibility for how you choose to take or apply any of the information shared. Take what resonates, leave what doesn't. You are a sovereign being. Always follow your heart and choose what feels best and true for you.